It was supposed to be a normal blind date. I walked into the cozy little cafe, heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves, only to find the table completely empty. No smiling face, no warm greeting, just the soft hum of background chatter and the scent of freshly brewed coffee. I checked my phone again, hoping I had the wrong time, but the message confirming our date blinked back at me, crystal clear. My mind started spinning with questions. Had something happened? Was this a prank? Or worse, had I been stood up? Just as I was about to sigh and leave, a quiet giggle echoed behind me. I turned, and my eyes widened. Two little girls, maybe 6 or 7, were standing there, holding hands and staring at me with wide, expectant eyes. "Are you our new mommy?" one of them asked, her voice filled with innocence and hope. My heart skipped a beat, a mix of shock and something I couldn't quite name washing over me. Who were these girls, and why were they asking me that? My mind raced. This wasn't part of the plan, not even close. And yet, something in their eyes made it impossible to just walk away. As I stood frozen in the middle of the cafe, the empty chair across from me suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the unexpected twist unfolding right in front of me. I knelt down to meet their gaze, trying to mask the confusion and surprise curling in my chest. "Hi, I think you might have the wrong person," I said gently, though my voice trembled slightly. But they didn't back away. Instead, they clutched each other's hands tighter and smiled shyly, like they were sure of something I wasn't. The cafe around us felt suddenly smaller, as if all the background noise had dimmed, and all I could focus on were these two little girls staring at me like I was meant to be there. I noticed their matching dresses, the little bows in their hair, and a hint of nervousness in their eyes that somehow mirrored my own. There was something familiar about them, though I knew I'd never met them before. As I glanced around hoping to spot a parent or guardian, the corner of the cafe seemed oddly empty, no one rushing to claim them, no hurried explanation. My mind spun through possibilities. Were they lost? Were they waiting for someone else? Or was this some strange coincidence? Every instinct told me to call for help, but another part of me, a quiet, stubborn part, wanted to understand why fate or whatever force had led me here had placed these girls in front of me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart, and asked, "Why do you think I'm your mommy?" Their tiny hands squeezed each other tighter, and their voices, almost in unison, whispered something I couldn't quite catch. It was then I realized, this wasn't just a random encounter. Something bigger was unfolding, something that would change the course of my evening and maybe my life forever. I took a step back, trying to gather my thoughts, but the girls didn't move. Their tiny faces were full of hope, and their eyes seemed to ask a question my heart couldn't ignore. "We've been waiting for you," one of them said softly, and for a moment, the cafe seemed to freeze around us. My mind raced, waiting for me. How could that be possible? I looked around again, scanning for any clue, a note, a parent, anyone who might explain this bizarre situation, but the place was ordinary. The other patrons were absorbed in their own worlds, oblivious to the tiny drama unfolding at the center of the room. I felt a strange mix of curiosity and fear. Who were these girls really? And why did they feel like they belonged to me in some way I couldn't explain? As I tried to make sense of it, fragments of questions surfaced. Were they lost children? Or was this something far stranger, a twist of fate I wasn't ready for? My phone buzzed with a text from my blind date, "Running late, sorry," and I stared at it blankly. So, the chair was empty, but these girls, they were not. Suddenly, the ordinary date I had prepared for had become the most unpredictable evening of my life. I crouched closer, my heart pounding. "Where are your parents?" I asked gently, but they exchanged a quick glance, almost conspiratorial, before one whispered, "They said you would find us." My mind reeled at that statement. Was this a misunderstanding? Or was I being pulled into something much bigger than a missed blind date? Something told me that by stepping into this moment, I had no choice but to follow it, and the questions only kept multiplying. I felt a chill run down my spine as I glanced at the girls again. Their little hands were still entwined, but now they were trembling slightly, as if sensing my hesitation. "You'll come with us, right?" one whispered, her voice barely audible, yet it hit me like a sudden jolt. My mind scrambled. I had no idea who they were, no idea why fate or whatever force had brought us together was placing this weight on my shoulders. Yet, in that moment, leaving them alone felt impossible. I looked around the cafe again, hoping someone would appear, someone to explain this strange encounter, but it was like the world had shrunk to just the three of us. Every instinct in me screamed caution, but my heart refused to ignore the silent plea in their eyes. I could feel my pulse quicken as I imagined the questions that would come if I walked away. Who are these girls? Where did they come from? And most importantly, why did they think I was their mommy? The soft clatter of dishes and muted conversations around us faded into a background hum, leaving only the tension between us. One of the girls stepped forward, her small hand reaching for mine. The gesture was simple, innocent, yet it carried an urgency I couldn't shake. At that moment, a sense of inevitability settled over me, like a tide pulling me toward something I wasn't prepared for. I swallowed hard, trying to steady myself, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything. My blind date might still arrive, but suddenly, it didn't matter. This unexpected encounter had taken over, and the questions swirling in my mind promised a revelation I couldn't yet grasp. And then, just as I was about to speak, the cafe door opened and everything shifted in an instant. The cafe door swung open, and my eyes instinctively darted toward it, expecting perhaps my blind dator, someone who could explain the strange scene before me, but it wasn't him. Instead, a woman appeared, her expression a mix of panic and recognition. In the instant she saw the girls, she rushed forward. "Emma, Lily, there you are," she exclaimed, her voice trembling. The girls froze, and I felt a knot tighten in my chest. Who was she? Were these her daughters? But then something even stranger happened. The girls didn't run to her. Instead, they hesitated, glancing at me as if they were torn between two worlds. My heart pounded. Why were they calling her by name, yet still looking at me like I belonged there? The woman knelt down, hands outstretched, but there was uncertainty in her movements. "I got your message," she stammered, glancing nervously around the cafe, "but I didn't think you'd actually be here." My mind raced. Who had sent her here? And what did it have to do with me? The room suddenly felt smaller, every heartbeat louder, every shadow seeming to stretch toward us. The girls whispered something to each other, words I couldn't hear, and I realized the stakes had just changed. This wasn't a simple case of mistaken identity anymore. Something bigger was at play, and I was now entangled in it. As the woman looked at me, her eyes flicking between the girls and my face, I felt a surge of urgency and dread. I was no longer just a stranger in a cafe. I was caught in a situation I didn't understand, with two innocent lives and a mystery that refused to let go. And in that instant, I knew the night was far from over. The real twist was just beginning. The woman took a shaky breath and finally explained, her voice trembling with a mix of relief and fear. "I'm their aunt," she said, glancing at the girls. "Their parents. They passed away last month. I wasn't ready to take them in yet, but they've been asking for someone kind, someone who could love them. They sent me a message about tonight, saying, 'She's coming for us.' I didn't understand at first, but now I see they were talking about you." I blinked, stunned. My mind whirled with disbelief and emotion. These girls, strangers a few hours ago, had somehow chosen me as the person they trusted, the person they felt safe with. My heart ached and soared at the same time. "Me," I whispered, my voice catching. They nodded, their little faces glowing with hope. "Yes, you're our new mommy," Emma said softly, gripping my hand. I glanced at the aunt, who was watching us with a hesitant, almost guilty expression. I didn't know how to tell them," she admitted, "but they needed someone, and somehow, they found you first." Tears welled up in my eyes as the enormity of the moment hit me. I had walked into a blind date that was empty, only to find two lives unexpectedly entrusted to me. Just as I reached down to hug the girls, the cafe door opened again. A man stepped inside, a warm smile on his face, and he waved at me. My heart sank and raced at once. My original blind date had finally arrived. But then, the girls gasped and ran toward him. Confused, I watched as he bent down, and in a voice eerily familiar, said, "Mommy sent me to make sure you found them." I froze. Mommy. Suddenly, the story I thought I understood had another layer I couldn't yet explain, and in that moment, I realized my life and theirs was about to change in ways I had never imagined. I stood there, heart pounding, as the man knelt down beside the girls. They hugged him tightly, and for the first time, I understood the full picture. Their mother, who had passed away, had left instructions with the aunt, guiding the girls toward someone kind and caring, someone who could fill the emptiness left behind. Somehow, I had become that person. Somehow, fate had chosen me.